Hi guys, I know it's been a while since my last video, but we are back and we are talking about confidence. Confidence is one of the most important things that you can have. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to build your confidence. The first thing is to learn about yourself. This sounds so obvious, but so many of us completely neglect this. You're gonna wanna review what you know about yourself, your personality, your likes, your dislikes, your strengths, your weaknesses, physical characteristics, your relationships with other people, all of these things. You want to be well aware of yourself. We spend so much time getting to know our friends, getting to know our family, getting to know people around us, but how much time do we really take to sit down and think about ourselves? Think about why we are the way that we are. Through this process, you might realize you're fuzzy on certain areas. So to get a clearer idea, pay attention to your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions, your behavior, and utilize feedback that you get from other people. So one way that you can do this is by creating an identity map. What I'll do when I'm starting to feel like I'm losing my sense of self is I'll write my name in the middle of a page and I'll draw all these different points connecting to different aspects of who I am and who I want to be. I write down my hobbies, I write down my strengths, I write down what I like, what I don't like. I write about the best days of my life, I write about the worst days of my life. So on the map, you're just gonna kind of write down points, you're not gonna write a lot of detail. But if you are feeling prompted to write more detail about these experiences, then write it down. Who's gonna stop you? And you can add to this over time. You're not gonna sit down and in one sitting encapsulate your entire identity. That's just not how it works. So our identities are always changing, always evolving. So you're gonna wanna add to this database of you as you're going through life. If you're sitting there and you're like, I have literally no idea what the hell to start writing about, just search up different prompts online or wait till something happens in your life that kind of triggers a response and try to examine your responses, examine your actions. Usually there are underlying reasons as to why we're having intense reactions to things, but it's not always obvious what this is. Taking the time to learn these things, to understand ourselves, is a key part of gaining confidence. How can we feel confident about ourselves if we don't truly know ourselves? Recognize that you control your self-image. Understanding our autonomy over the way we think about ourselves is so important. You control the way you see yourself. No one else controls the way you see yourself. People can control how they see you, but no one can control how you see yourself. You can change this. That should feel like such a liberating thought that you can change it. However you feel about yourself, who can change it? You can change it. Nobody else. Nobody else is going to come into your life and make you feel better about yourself. This thought is so liberating to me. I get to decide how I feel. I get to decide what I think about myself. Nobody else. If you are someone who struggles with having a lot of negative thoughts about yourself, here's a trick you can use. This is something my sister told me about a long time ago. It's called the rubber band trick, where you kind of just have a rubber band or maybe a hair tie like this, and every time you have a negative thought, you just kind of flick it. It doesn't even have to be a rubber band. The idea behind it is that you acknowledge when you're having these thoughts. Realize that they're happening. That's the hardest part. We have all these thoughts throughout our day and we don't really examine them or think about them. Noticing them is the hard part, but once you start to notice them, you're gonna notice them every single time and you wanna change these thoughts. Instead of thinking, I'm not here yet, I suck, I'm the worst, I can't do this, I can't do that, think, okay, I can't do this yet, but I can get there. I don't have all that I want yet, but I can get there. I haven't achieved this goal yet, but I can get there. The biggest thing to remember is that no matter how many times you fail, if you sit down, you fall on the ground and you think, wow, I suck. I failed again, I've fallen again. If you sit there and quit, that's when you've really lost. But if you tell yourself, hey, damn, like I failed at this so many times. I have let myself down so many times, but I'm gonna get back up again. I'm gonna try again. There's confidence in that. There's confidence in knowing that you are resilient and you are hardworking, that nothing will keep you down forever. Don't let anything keep you down forever. Acknowledge your flaws. It is okay to have flaws and shortcomings. Acknowledge them, but don't judge yourself harshly for having them. If these are controllable issues, then continue to work on these things. But work on them without the emotional weight attached to it, without beating yourself up about having these flaws to begin with. Find power and confidence in the fact that you are wise enough to realize these shortcomings, to examine yourself, discover these shortcomings, and create plans to solve them. Find confidence in the fact that you are working to be better and better. Don't hope to reach this level of perfection and then find your confidence. That's not how it works. Okay, the next point is to not let other people set your goals. Don't let other people set your goals or the standards by which you evaluate yourself. Reflect on the source of your goals and standards. What do they say about you? And how much of them truly resonate with your personal values, and how much of them have been inflicted upon you from other people. Something I've learned in my experience is that you are the only person who can define what success means to you. Success is very different for everyone. If you are constantly trying to achieve someone else's idea of success, you will never be happy, because you are not only working towards something that you don't really want, but also once you reach that final goal, once you reach that success, how are you gonna feel? That is something that is so important to keep in mind. Okay, my next point is to accept that you will change. I've been thinking about life changes a lot recently. Big or small, these life changes can cause us to question our self-identity. They allow us to contort, improve, or abandon our existing values. I've been struggling with this a lot. Struggling with the idea that the things I do on a daily basis are not the same as they once were. Struggling with the fact that I have to let go of this previous version of myself. But in reality, just because our limits are being explored and our boundaries are being pushed does not mean that everything we once were is now lost. We are the accumulation of everything we once were in addition to everything we now are. Recognize unrealistic goals. If you are setting certain goals that you know in the back of your mind are impossible or unachievable or unrealistic, take a step back and change those goals, reevaluate. Come to terms with the fact that you are a human being. There are certain limits you cannot cross. For example, I went through a phase in my first year of university where if I didn't study a minimum of 10 hours every single day, I would feel so bad about myself. That is so bad for my mental health, and that was so bad for my confidence, because that is an unrealistic goal. That's just my example, but if you are someone who set any kind of unrealistic goal in your life, take a step back, think about it, and you might not realize it right now. So take a step back and think about all your goals right now. Think about the things that you've been striving to achieve and haven't been able to do, and ask yourself, is this really achievable? Is this realistic? Am I setting my standards too high? Am I going into things with an all or nothing mindset? Because when you set unrealistic goals like this and you fail, and your confidence goes down, it's gonna be harder for you to get up and try again. It's gonna be harder for you to attempt to do something new in the future, because you're gonna have this in the back of your mind that you're not good enough. You can't follow through on the goals that you've set for yourself. That's not what we want. Emphasize your strengths. Think about what you're already good at and build those skills. Build them and integrate them more into your life. And at the same time, accept personal shortcomings that you're powerless to change. For example, I'm a horrible dancer. I've talked about this in another video. I'm such a bad dancer. I'm terrible at it. But I stopped striving to be a good dancer. I never really had that goal, but I let go of that expectation, and I feel confident dancing. I feel confident having a good time because I'm not expecting myself to be something that I'm not, and I don't really care to be either. Instead, embrace your strengths and learn to appreciate them. For example, I have always loved writing. My entire life, I've loved writing. However, there were periods of time, or years even, where I wouldn't even touch writing, or I would stay away from it. I wouldn't be focusing on this hobby of mine, and I lost a lot of confidence there. But as soon as I started doing it again, as soon as I started doing something that I love and that I feel that I'm good at once again, my confidence improved. I feel good about myself when I'm doing things that I enjoy, and I'm sure you guys can feel the same way. Another thing I want to talk about, there's two things that I personally love in characters. One of them is when characters are really struggling with something, they're terrible at it, and they work and they work and they work and they work and they fail and they suck, but they get there. It's like the underdog moment through that montage where they kind of pull themselves together and you see them failing. I don't know what Alexa's talking about, that was kind of creepy, but you see them failing and failing and failing, but they keep getting up, they keep trying. And then the second thing is competence. For example, reading a book about a spy. The book starts off with this spy entering this mansion, and you hear about how slick they are and how they get past the guards and the backflips and whatever it may be. Reading about confidence is so alluring because we are attracted to confidence. We're intrigued by it. And this is the same thing for us. It's not just characters. When we meet other people, we're interested in people who are good at things, who are interested in things. So find the things you're already good at and amplify them. Forget about what other people think about you. Forget about needing validation from them. You're gonna feel good about yourself. The next point is to just cultivate a new strength. If you're sitting there and you're like, I have no strengths, I have no hobbies, you can always start something new. You can always learn something new. You can always build new skills. What do you want to improve? Approach other people with a positive outlook. Don't try to tear other people down, because this is something that insecure people do a lot. This can cause tension, antagonism, and rejection, and ultimately, this is gonna lower your self-esteem. Our social connections are very important. You don't want to be someone who is so deeply insecure that they go out into the world and they project this onto other people. You don't want to be someone who tears other people down. What are you getting out of that? And when you start to think badly about other people, I want you to take back and ask yourself why. Why do I dislike this about this person? Why do I dislike this person in general? Is it a reflection of them or is it a reflection of me? I'm not gonna sit here and say it's always a reflection of you, because sometimes people be weird. But it's important to acknowledge when your own insecurities or your own experiences are causing you to think a certain way about someone else. Acceptance and genuine affection from others improves our self-esteem drastically. Okay, and my last point is to understand that who you are today is not a representation of all of you. I kind of touched upon this earlier, but I want to go into more detail. If you're having a rough couple of days, weeks, or even months, and you're beating yourself up about it, telling yourself that you're the worst, you've always been the worst, I want you to take a step back. Take a step back and zoom out. Look at your life from a bird's eye view. A rough patch does not mean a rough life. Think about all the times you've succeeded. Sure, you've had some bad days. Sure, this can't go on forever. You have to stop at some point. But this is not a reflection of all of you. This is a moment. This is a part of your timeline. This is not your whole story. I know a lot of you guys can just turn off the video, close your laptop, move on, go on to the next thing, and forget all of these things. Just write something down. Write any thought you've had while watching this. Any thought about yourself, about your actions. Just take a step, because it is so easy to consume media and then just move on with our lives. So I want you guys to take some sort of action. Literally on your phone, in your notes app, do something. This is gonna improve your confidence too, just taking this little action. Look at you. I'm proud of you. You're not just mindlessly watching things, you're actually taking steps to better yourself. If you still don't want to do all these things, that's fine. All that I ask is that this week you pay attention to your thoughts. Start to slowly change the way you see yourself. Even if it feels unnatural, even if you're saying something positive about yourself in your head and you don't believe it, say it anyway. Say it until it feels natural. Just promise me you'll try for 1 week and see how things change. And with that finally concludes our video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a like, a comment, or subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!